Today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you live from beautiful Hungary here in Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a great week so far. Today, we are looking at speaking part 2 in this class. It's for members, and in 90 minutes, an all-chat class, we will take a reading passage. Again, the materials do come from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS help and gieltshelp.com for the general version. While we're waiting for some of our members to join up, I'll show you those websites real quick. This is the general version, gieltshelp.com, with the green background. There are over 100 hours of video lessons, fully interactive course, 6 original practice exams. Just click that red button to join us there. For the academic version of the test, it's the blue background at aehelp.com. Click that red button to join us there and get access to similar materials, but of course different for the reading and writing sections. Hi, Ferdovs. There's one of our members in class. I'm doing great. How are you, Ferdovs? Hope you're having a good day. And if you want to contact me, if you have questions about the exam or our products, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. That's my name, Adrian@aehelp.com. Hi, Preeti. Hi, Danish. I'm doing great, thanks. You can buy our books as well, students, from Amazon. AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS. Check that out. Okay, let's get going with today's class. Here is our cue card. Hi, Amarjeet. Hi, Roshni. So again, members, as you know, the speaking has 3 parts. Part 2 is the cue card. That's one that you need to practice for at home. It's the least natural of all 3 parts. Why? Because we don't walk around every day thinking about little 2-minute mini speeches on various topics. So, Danish question: how many times can we send your task 1, task 2 essays for feedback? Danish, we usually tell students 3-4 times is okay. If you send us your work, we'll give you a free score. Of course, if you're a member, we'll give you some more free scoring. If you have our website, then we'll score you at least 9-10 times. So it kind of depends on your involvement with us, Danish, but don't be shy. Send us those task 1, task 2 essays, okay? Ferdovs, I'm glad that your week is going well. Fantastic. So far, so good. I hope it keeps going that way. All right, so students, part 2 cue card. Again, practice for this. Even if you have good English skills, it's the least natural, it's the most surprising, and why should you practice for part 2? What's another reason why it's important to do a really good job in part 2? Can any member tell me the answer to this question? So why is it really important to do a good job in part 2? Other than, of course, it's important for your band score, but what's a big reason to do a great job in part 2? And again, emphasizing practicing for this before the exam. I think for speaking, students should spend probably the most time for speaking part 2 practice. Hi, Zainab. Why? So why is it especially important to do a good job in part 2? Okay. So in part 2 speaking, because, and it's important to keep this in mind, Roshni says due to fluency and task completion. Yes, Roshni, that's true, but it's not what I'm thinking about. Ferdov says to use time effectively or efficiently because it's the least natural for us to just speak for 2 minutes. Okay. Roshni says, this is the same question I faced in the real exam. Yes, this is taken from a real IELTS exam, Roshni. Another reason, students, or the main reason, keep this in mind, many students forget about this, is because part 3 is connected to part 2. Okay, so when part 2 finishes, then the examiner will say, now we will continue with part 3. I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. So the better your answer for part 2, the more accurate your answer for part 2, the easier it will be to speak in part 3 and make connections. Keep that in mind. That is a very important tip. So the better your response, the more specific and detailed your information for part 2, the easier it will be to speak well and make connections for part 3. Okay, that's really important to keep in mind. Preeti, most of your marks do not depend on the cue card. Part 1 and part 3 together do make up a lot of your marks as well. But if you do poorly, Preeti, on your cue card, it's going to be quite difficult to do well in part 3 or to make connections. Okay, so that's why you need to do really well and practice for part 2, because it has a major impact on your part 3 score or your part 3 ability. Does that make sense, members? So is that clear why I'm emphasizing that? Hi, Nguyen Viet. I'm happy that you're able to join up. It's great. Send me an email with your membership level. All right, Preeti, thank you for answering that question. I am speaking to you even though I cannot see you. So I'm happy that makes sense. So for part 3, you have to do a good job. You have to do well. You have to give good details. You have to give original answers because it will flow into part 3. Hi, Priyanka. All right, so let's get into it. Here we go. Here's the cue card. So the examiner says, all right, that is the end of part 1. Now for part 2, here is a card with some questions on it. Do not turn it over. Here is some note paper. Here's a pencil. You will have 1 minute to look at the questions, think about your answer, take notes if you wish, and then you will have 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Are you ready to begin? Yes, I feel confident. I'm ready. Okay, then turn over the card and your 1 minute preparation time begins now. This 1 minute is critical. It's crucial. You have to use it wisely. So you turn over the card and you read it carefully. That's your first step. Careful reading. Okay? Talk about a piece of equipment that was broken and you got repaired. Okay, so it's a piece of equipment you own. What is the equipment? What was the problem? When and how you got it repaired? How did you feel about it in the end? You will have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic. You will have 1 minute to prepare. All right. So you read the question carefully. You identified the number of questions. How many questions do you need to answer here? Must I answer? Okay, it's not a choice. You have to answer all of these questions. If you miss a question on the cue card, that is a sure way to lose band scores. Okay, so how many questions must I answer? The answer, according to Ferdovs, is 5. Danish says 6. Roshni says 5. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 looks accurate. I'm not sure, Danish, where you're seeing that 6th one, but 5 for sure. Yeah, be very careful of these double questions, right? when and how you got it repaired. That how is actually extremely important. It's kind of hiding there, a little sneaky little question marker, but it's a very important one. Okay, so 5 looks right. I'm happy that many of you see it. Of course, what do I do next? So members, I know how many questions I need to answer. Now, what do I do next? I recognize that I am talking about an object, right? And kind of an event as well, right? So it's an object that I own that needs to be fixed or needed to be fixed. It's also an event. It's an event of an object that's broken or had been broken, and it needs fixing or needed fixing. So I'm recognizing that I'm talking about an object and an event. So, just a second, my camera for some reason decided to sleep again, but I'll look into that after this class. All right, here we go. So meanwhile, you can think about what you need to say. So I'm talking about an object and an event. When I discuss an object, yeah, Roshni says there's definitely an object here, but it's important to recognize that it's also an event, Roshni. So it's not just simply an object, it's also an event, because there's 2 situations. The object's broken and I go get it fixed. Okay? So with an object, I know that I need to talk about its origin, so where I got it. I need to talk about its function, what it does. I need to talk about its value, what it's worth to me. And I need to talk about its appearance, so what it actually looks like. Okay, appearance first. Now, knowing that it's an event, I recognize that I also have to talk about when, where, who. So the location, right? I'm going to, instead of just the questions, it's better to think about it like this. So time, month, day, year, location, people present, right? Like a repairman or a salesman. Okay. And event or action. So I need to think about all of those when I'm discussing an event. Now, if I recognize for this card that here it's an object and an event, primarily an object, secondarily an event, then I realize that there's a lot of information that I can give during this part 2. In fact, members, if you identify a good response, then even if you just have this in your notes and you go through these steps sentence by sentence, you will easily have a good 2-minute speech. Okay, sure. So that's fine. What's my next step? So what should I do after this? This is all happening very quickly in the first 20, 30 seconds of my preparation time. So I read the card carefully. I recognized I'm talking about an object event. I thought about the different parameters that I have to include. What do I do next? So Amarjeet says, choose an object. Zainab agrees. Think of some objects. Sure. Now, maybe you're able to think of a real object that had broken that you needed to get repaired. Maybe you can't, so you have to make one up. Okay? So, sure, we can do that. All right. So, select an object. What kind of object comes to mind? Okay, Danish says the car's rear view mirror. Danish, it's called the rear view mirror. Okay. Roshni says a TV remote. Okay, that's not a bad one. TV remote. Danish, it's called a rear view mirror. Okay. Preeti, bike. Okay, sure, bike. What's broken on your bike? So if you think of bike, that's quite a complex piece of machinery. So what's broken on your bike, Preeti? Laptop. Okay, that's possible as well. Be specific, students. If you're thinking about something like a mobile phone, you have to be more specific. There are a lot of different parts of a mobile phone that can break. So you need to think more specifically. Okay, focus. So Preeti says maybe the brakes. Preeti, I would actually say flat tire. Okay, so Preeti, this is where visualization is very useful. Flat tire is probably a little bit easier to talk about than repairing the brakes on your bike. Okay. So TV remote, bike flat tire. What would be the laptop? What would be the mobile phone? Okay, mobile phone might be a very common answer. So try to choose something more specific. Visualize quickly. What is a part of a mobile phone that's often broken and people seek to repair? Visualize. I know it's happened with me. It's one of the most expensive repairs I've had in the past few years. Yeah, the screen. So you break the screen, especially on touch phones. That's a big problem, right? Okay. So the mobile phone screen, the bike flat tire, the laptop screen, Roshni, that's a very common one as well. Okay, so screens breaking, sure. TV remote. Amarjeet says a ceiling fan. Yes, okay. Again, Amarjeet, think of what? Okay, so ceiling fan. Maybe the motor. Okay. Danish says rear view mirror of a car. All right, so we'll stop there. Those are some good selections. Okay, so now you need to think about which one you want to choose. Let's go with the bike got a flat tire for this class, students. So that one's a little bit more unique. I think the top level answer is probably mobile phone screen. Okay. So we'll go with an answer that's a little bit more or a little bit less common probably of an answer is bike flat tire. So bike got a flat tire. Okay. You need it to get it repaired. That's good. Let's go with that one. And there's another important point to recognize with this question before we begin speaking, before we do our notes. What is one other important idea to keep in mind when you answer this in the 2 minutes? Talk about a piece of equipment that was broken and you got repaired. What is the equipment? What was the problem? What do you think is another really important point to pay attention to for this specific question? And this will definitely affect your band score if you were to get this question on your exam. So pay attention to these kinds of questions where you have this situation. And I wonder if any of you picked this up while we were reading and thinking about this. There's a very interesting element to this question. Zainab says the repair. Well, no, that's definitely, Zainab, we definitely have to pay attention to that. But there's another element that should kind of jump out at you that's unique with this kind of question where it's like, oh, okay, I really have to focus on this when I'm answering. So Dana says when and how. Ferdov says a piece of not the whole. No, piece here for doves actually just means some equipment. So it means one piece of equipment. It's not the piece. I'm asking you a little bit of a tricky question. It's the grammar. Okay, the grammar in this question. So talk about a piece of equipment that was broken and you got repaired. So there are two time frames here. So the was broken is a time in the past. Okay, and this is another time in the past. But it's after this event. Okay. So this question is fishing for grammar. The reason the IELTS exam used this question, because this was actually a question in a real IELTS exam not so long ago, the reason that they use it, and I know why they use it because I also make IELTS exams. So the goal of the exam maker here is to see which students are able to use a combination of past simple, past perfect, present perfect, because this question definitely, if you answer it well, should use a variety of grammar and tenses in your answer. So that's kind of unique about it. So really pay attention when you get this kind of a topic where there's multiple time elements in the question. Okay? That's fishing for that kind of grammar. Okay? So you need to use it. And you need to use it well in order to get a good band score. All right? So, make sure to pay attention to that grammar. Now, let's take a couple of notes before we begin our response. What should you write in your notes? Okay, it's your next step. So you've identified that you're going to talk about a bike's flat tire. What should be your first note? What would be a good first note to think about? Okay, so just a few notes, not much. Maybe 6, 7 bullets maximum, couple words each. Again, practice taking good notes. They will help you to get good band scores. You should use them during your 2 minutes. That's why you take the notes. Too many students, they write down their notes in the 1 minute, then they start speaking. They never look at the card or the notes. That's bad, okay? Look at your notes, look at the card. Sure, Roshni, about the bike, but just give me the notes. Just give me the notes. Amar, too complex. That's your speaking, okay? Dana says black round tires. Yeah, Preeti, the appearance of the bike. Just keep it simple. But instead of telling me, members, just give me the actual notes, okay? Like red mountain bike. All right? So my first note would be something like red mountain bike. Okay? What would be my next? So what would come after red mountain bike? What would be another good note to take? And it is a good strategy, members, to have structure and logic in your notes. So I showed you before where if you write your notes all over the place, then you should number them really quickly, like which one's first, second, third, and so on. Okay. Preeti, don't go into too much detail about the appearance or where it's made. Firdavs, made in China. It's unnecessary. It's too much. Okay, Zainab, very good. That's what I would write. To go to school. Yeah, absolutely, Zainab. Yeah, so I would really just go step by step. So it's not a big trick here, students. Just go through the motions of appearance, function, origin, value. So go through these steps, right? So what would be my next note? A birthday gift from my parents, sure. Yeah, okay, that's where you got it, right? Sure, make a quick mention of that. Why not? All right, now we have our appearance, we have our origin, we have our function. We might kind of do a value. We might say, love my bike. Okay. All right, so what comes after that? So it's a red mountain bike. I use it to get to school and back. It was a birthday gift from my parents for my 16th birthday. I really love it. It saves me a lot of time, and I get a good exercise. Okay, for Dobbs, before that next sentence, because here all we have so far is just some information about the bike, but this is not the main part of my response. This is not the bulk. So if I have 120 seconds for my answer, this should really only take up about 20 to 25 seconds of my answer. It shouldn't take up more. I only really have notes for 20-25 seconds. Okay? Remember, don't forget the actual questions on the card. Okay? So I would probably do something like 2 weeks ago, flat, hit nail, something like that. Okay? Yeah, exactly, for Dobbs. So instead of giving me the question, just give me the answer. So give me the notes that you would take, like 2 weeks ago, flat, hit nail. You don't have to have full sentences, just the words that will help you put together the sentences when you're speaking, right? Okay. After that, what could you write? So what would be, and here we might have some different ideas, right? Make it original. So let's do three more points. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, hit flat, hit a nail. Okay, so Zainab says broken glass on the road caused damage to the tires. Got a flat. Zainab, sure. So I said hit a nail. You said hit some broken glass. Why not? All right. Amar says my brother and I. Okay, so Dana says pulled my bike to the shop. Okay. Yeah, bike service center. Walked it to the nearest garage. Preeti says both tires got punctured. Very nice vocabulary, Preeti, with punctured. It's good. Okay, fine. Yeah. So Zainab says don't forget about your feeling. So Roshni says I became tense because of important exam. Yeah. Okay, sure. So good. Now you're using your creative imagination, and that's brilliant. That's exactly how you get those high band scores. Preeti, Roshni, Zainab, Amar, doing a great job. Yeah, so I'm stressed. I don't have a bike. Now I have to walk to school. It's going to take me a lot longer, and I have an important exam. I'll be exhausted by the time I get to school. So all of those thoughts and ideas coming into the picture. Viet says I panicked a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, sure. All right. Okay. So maybe one more note. All right. So we got a little bit more out there. So I paid a little extra to get it repaired very quickly. I felt good about it, and I did well on the exam. Sure. Okay. So did a 1 hour repair. All right. All of those are some good ideas. Now I want to get my first sentence out. So give me that first sentence. Give me the first sentence. So what would be my starting sentence? So when the examiner says, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up, please begin speaking, then you have your first sentence ready. What is your first sentence? So again, some really nice ideas. Priyanka says it took 2 hours for the repair. Roshni says 1 hour for the repair. I paid some extra. Make sure you use quantitative language. I paid an extra 1,000 rupiah, or I paid an extra $20. Okay, that's in your answers. All right. So first sentence, that's absolutely key because you don't want to waste 10, 20 seconds just going, well, an object that I had, I've repaired many objects, but one object that I remember in particular, and by the way, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about this object. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You'll get a low mark if you speak like that. Because you're wasting time and you're not answering the question. So your first sentence needs to accurately answer the question right away. Basically, with your first sentence, students, members, you should give an answer to this part here. Talk about a piece of equipment that was broken and you got repaired. Okay? And a bike is certainly a piece of sports equipment. If that comes to mind, that's great. Amarjeet says, well, in January on my birthday, my parents gifted me a bike, which broke down 2 months ago. Very good, Amarjeet. It's an excellent starting sentence. Nguyen Viet says, well, I have a red mountain bike, which was a birthday gift, and there was a time when I got a flat tire on my way to school just 2 weeks ago. Nguyen Viet, use quantitative language, so get those numbers in there, like 2 weeks ago, or last month, or this past March. Okay, so something that quantifies your information, it will bump up your score. Roshni says, oh my gosh, I still remember that 2 months before I had a flat tire on my mountain bike. Roshni, very good. Okay, that works. Ferdav says, I'm going to tell you about my bike that was broken and I had to go to the service center and get it repaired, not corrected, Ferdavs. We correct essays. We correct behavior mistakes, like causing grief for our parents, being late, coming home, but we never correct a broken piece of equipment. We fix it or we repair it. Fix, repair, mend, but not correct. Okay? Amar says, one of the most important pieces of sports equipment I remember repairing recently is my mountain bike. Okay, Amar, a little bit more clearly. Okay, a little bit more clearly. Roshni, flat tire on your motorcycle, same concept. Okay, same idea. Let's stick with the mountain bike. Preeti says, a month ago I was going to school on my favorite red mountain bike and suddenly both tires got punctured halfway there. Okay, Danish says, well, I have a red Honda bike which was gifted to me by my father for my 15th birthday. 2 weeks ago, I was going to school for my exam, but unfortunately, my bike tires got punctured. Danish, that's 2 sentences. That's a lot of writing in the 1 minute preparation time. Just keep it to 1 sentence, okay? You can elaborate later, and this sentence doesn't have to be too complex. So, a piece of sports equipment. That I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. Okay, so that's how simple you should keep it. Your first sentence should be accurate It should clearly answer the question. Notice how here I don't even paraphrase too much. And I recommend not over paraphrasing or so talk about a piece of equipment that was broken and you got repaired. A piece of sports equipment that I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. Okay, so specific, it's my mountain bike, it's a sports equipment, and I repaired it. The examiner knows very clearly from this that you've accurately read this question and you're going to stick to the topic and give them a unique answer. So that's what you need to do. Okay, now let's keep going. So let's continue from this first sentence. Give me a nice sentence to continue with here, students. So a piece of sports equipment that I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. I think I saw a couple of good. Go step by step. Okay, don't try to put too much information into one sentence. You have 2 minutes. You have lots of time. In 2 minutes, the average person can say 30, 40 sentences, perhaps. It only takes us about 3-4 seconds to complete a full sentence, verbally, of course. Even if you're speaking a little bit slower, you can still get a sentence out every 5 seconds. That's still going to be 24 full sentences in the 120 seconds. Okay, so don't try to overcomplicate your sentences. Just go step by step. Okay. So Preeti, I like what you said there. I was going to school on my favorite, on my bike. I've already said my red mountain bike. Okay. Now, before I do this, maybe I'll pay attention to my notes. Okay. I got it from my parents. It was a birthday gift, and I love my bike. So maybe just mention that real quick. And I see a couple of you saying that. Preeti says it was gifted by my parents on my 25th birthday. Sure. So this bike was a gift from my parents for my 25th birthday, and I simply love it. I use it to get to my university classes every day. Okay, good. Yeah. So that's some good information. Again, use those notes. Now, if by some chance you miss that like I did and you start talking about the situation, you can take this information and you can put it in at the end. So if you have more time to elaborate, sometimes what happens is students speak for about 90 seconds and then they just start repeating the same information. Don't do that. Stop, look at your notes. Maybe you realize, hey, I didn't talk about the importance of my bike, so I can do that. I have a few more seconds left and I can include this at the end and then connect it to the main question. So I'm really happy that I got it repaired and it's working again. Okay, make sure to connect back. Okay. So for Dov says, I use my bike to go to and from school. Sometimes I ride it to the grocery store. Good for Dov. So you explain the function of the bike. Excellent. That works well. Yeah. So I think this was Zainab that said this. And it was good. I colored it a little bit, Zainab. So I was going to school on my bike sometime in mid-August when I hit some broken glass on the pavement, and punctured both tires. Okay, let's continue from here. So give me some sentences from tires. So far, again, viewers, members, repeat after me. Repetition is a great way to improve fluency and pronunciation. Repeat after me. A piece of sports equipment that I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. This bike was a gift from my parents for my 25th birthday, and I simply love it. I use it to get to my university classes every day. I was going to school on my bike sometime in mid-August when I hit some broken glass on the pavement and punctured both tires. Okay. Continue on from there. Give me the next sentence. Whatever comes to mind. If you're stuck, look at your notes. Zainab, careful. I think you might be going off topic with that. You might get lost a little bit. I was late for my final exam and I didn't notice the broken glass. Okay, you're giving lots of details, Zainab, but you're also running the danger of going off topic. So stay on the primary questions of the card. And this is where your notes can help you to stay on topic. I would probably talk about pulling the bike to the shop or pushing. Pulling is a little bit strange. We generally push the bike, not pull. Okay, when we're doing this with the bike, we're pushing the bike or walking the bike. Danish says, I started to panic because I was going to be late for my exam. So this is Danish where that tricky past tense grammar comes in. So I started to panic because I was going to be late for my exam. Immediately I pushed my bike to the nearest service center. So Preeti says, I was deeply distressed and anxious because I had a final exam in an hour and I was going to be late for school. Okay, again, students, repeat these sentences. Maybe watch the video again. There's some tricky past tense and past progressive tense there. Okay, Priyanka says, I was riding very fast to get to school as I was going to be late when suddenly a nail punctured my front tire. Okay, again, some corrections there, Priyanka. We don't say piece of nail, we just say a nail. Okay. Yes, Danish, using the past tense can be very tricky. Absolutely. That's why I chose this question for today. Roshni says, I lost my balance and was anxious for a couple minutes, but then I decided to push my bike to the nearest garage. Ferdov says, at first I had panicked, and then I searched for my phone to locate the nearest service center or bike repair shop. Okay, those are all some good answers. Okay. I'll build from what you suggested. So initially, I panicked because I had an exam coming up in less than an hour. But eventually, I calmed myself and used my phone to find the nearest bicycle repair shop. Fortunately, there was one just a couple of blocks away. So I pushed my bike for about 10 minutes. And had it repaired. Okay. Good. Now, what can come after this? So give me the next sentence, students. I'm challenging you to really use your past tense or your perfect tenses here. Again, just repeat after me and then think about what sentence would be good to follow. So one more time from the top. I know it's lots of repetition, but this will build your fluency and accuracy. So repeat with me, okay? A piece of sports equipment that I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. This bike was a gift from my parents for my 25th birthday, and I simply love it. I use it to get to my university classes every day. I was going to school on my bike sometime in mid-August when I hit some broken glass on the pavement and punctured both tires. Initially, I panicked because I had an exam coming up in less than an hour, but eventually I calmed myself and used my phone to find the nearest bicycle repair shop. Fortunately, there was one just a couple of blocks away, so I pushed my bike for about 10 minutes and had it repaired. Okay. Again, Amarjeet, you're maybe going into too much detail, saying I took the help of a friend to get it to the nearest garage for help. Okay. Viet says the accident made me really stressed and I didn't know what to do next, as I didn't have time to find the nearest garage, and I was thinking of abandoning the bike on my neighbor's yard and just running really fast. Viet, that's good. That's good description. And good use of some present perfect and past tense there. So that's great. Nice, accurate grammar, Viet. Okay, very good, Ferdovs. So Ferdov says, I paid some extra money to get a quick repair, and I continued on my way to the exam center. Yeah, absolutely. So I paid an extra $20 to get both tires replaced within 15 minutes and then rode like the wind to get to my exam on time. Very good. Absolutely. Okay. So using some quantitative language like $20, get it repaired within 15 minutes. And if you are 100% sure that you're using an expression or an idiom accurately, then do it. Otherwise, don't do it, okay? And then rode really fast to get to the exam on time, or the expression then rode like the wind to get to my exam on time, okay? All right. So far, so good. Now, maybe look at your notes. Okay, stressed, exam, walk to school, panic, paid extra, get repair. All of those are good. Okay, felt good, did well on the exam. Still missing that part. At this point, you should maybe look at the questions on the card. Make sure you're not missing any answers. What is the equipment? Okay, red mountain bike. What was the problem? Flat tires, good. When and how? Mid-August, pushed it to a repair shop, paid extra money, 15 minutes, replaced the tires, good. How did you feel about it in the end? So that's definitely missing. Sure thing, Viet. Have an awesome day. The video will be available in an hour, so good luck on your class. All right, so let's finish this up. Let's add one more sentence. Okay, so give me a couple of different ways, or give me your ideas on how I can finish this 2-minute response. Okay, give me the next sentence. Okay, so Ferdov says, fortunately, I did very well on my exam, and in the end, I feel that I'm a lucky person. Okay, that's not bad for Doves. Just watch your grammar a little bit. Fortunately, I aced my exam, so all's well that ends well. And I look back on this situation positively, and I don't even care. And I don't even care that I had to pay a premium to get quick service. In fact, I feel quite lucky that there was a repair shop so close, and a repair man available to help me out. All right. So again, teaching you a little bit more language. Members, students, repeat after me. Okay, here we go. A piece of sports equipment that I had repaired just last month is my red mountain bike. This bike was a gift from my parents for my 25th birthday, and I simply love it. I use it to get to my university classes every day. I was going to school on my bike sometime in mid-August when I hit some broken glass on the pavement and punctured both tires. Initially, I panicked because I had an exam coming up in less than an hour. But eventually, I calmed myself and used my phone to find the nearest bicycle repair shop. Fortunately, there was one just a couple of blocks away, so I pushed my bike for about 10 minutes and had it repaired. I paid an extra $20 to get both tires replaced within 15 minutes. And then rode like the wind to get to my exam on time. Fortunately, I aced my exam, so all's well that ends well, and I look back on this situation positively. And I don't even care that I had to pay a premium to get quick service. In fact, I feel quite lucky that there was a repair shop so close and a repairman available to help me out. Now my bike is in perfect working condition, and I hope that this situation doesn't repeat itself anytime in the near future. All right, members, good job. That response earn you a band 9. It's got grammar complexity, it's got task completion, it answers all the questions on the card, it's original, it's unique, it's detailed, and very likely you have a lot of good foundation, a lot of good basis here for your part 3 questions. Okay, remember, that's what I started the class with. Answer like this so that part 3 goes smoother and nice and quick, okay? All right. Amar says, I was very happy with my repaired bicycle and I reached the exam on time. Good one, Amar. Valiant Venture, good to see you in class, says, I finally arrived having some spare time to prepare myself mentally for sitting the exam. Preparing morally, we don't commonly have that, Valiant Venture. We say prepare mentally for sitting the exam. Priyanka says, at the end or in the end, I performed very well on the exam or in the exam. That works. Zainab says, it was a difficult experience because it was a rainy day and I got a fever, but positive in the end because I got an A+ for my exam. Amarjeet says, I feel ecstatic, not aesthetic, Amarjeet. I feel ecstatic because I reached the exam on time And I also thank my friend who helped me in this dire situation, D-I-R-E. Not worst situation. It's kind of a little bit awkward. All right. Yes, Danish, I will put this answer into the community chat. I'm sure, Danish, you're thinking, wow, there's a few expressions there that you want to remember and jot down. So I will do that. Thank you so much, viewers, members, for participating in this class. In 30 minutes, I will host another class where everybody can join, and it will focus on reading strategy and practice. Check us out on our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS or gieltshelp.com for general, and download our academic IELTS help app. Just search for academic IELTS help in your Google Play or Apple App Store. You are very welcome, Dobbs. You're very welcome, Roshni. Hopefully, I'll see all of you or most of you in 30 minutes in the next class. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye for now.